Hi there, my name is Sarah, and I'm a big fan of Oz, the Oz books, and Oz board games. Today, I'm going to show you how to play the Parker Brothers game, The Wonderful Game of Oz. This is the very first licensed Oz game. It was copyrighted at the end of 1921 and went on sale in 1922. I'm going to demonstrate this game using a digital version I created to play with my friends. If you have the real game, or a physical replica, you can use those to play too. You could even draw your own game board that matches this layout. However, if you'd like to play this digital version, you can download it as a free mod for Tabletop Simulator. Tabletop Simulator is available on the Steam client. Go to steampowered.com and join up today. You can find The Wonderful Game of Oz in the Tabletop Simulator workshop area. First, a few notes about the game. The Wonderful Game of Oz is a roll-and-move racing game designed by George S. Parker, the founder of Parker Brothers. This type of game was very popular in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, and this particular style, a loose spiral working inward, ending in a center space, seems to have been inspired by The Mansion of Happiness, a great favorite which has an even richer and more detailed ancestry. Quite a few of Parker's early racing games use this same spiral format, although, admittedly, it's sometimes a little more obvious. Unlike many board games of this period based on fairy tales and other familiar children's stories, The Wonderful Game of Oz was designed as a higher-end game, something of a luxury item, and as important visually as it was to play. For the first 10 years, Parker advertised it in their catalog as the handsomest board game issued for years. The exceptionally clean board out in this version comes from Jane Albright, president of the International Wizard of Oz Club, who has one of the finest Oz collections anywhere. Thanks, Jane. The original version of the game had pewter tokens in the shape of Oz characters. Later printings had the same board art and rule set, but the finer details of the components changed. Most noticeably, the pewter pieces were replaced by Parker's wooden pawns for economic reasons. They are what I have, and therefore my digital version was built to match. Today, we will be playing the game as it appeared circa 1934. Now, let's play! The Wonderful Game of Oz has a very simple object. The first player to make their way to the Emerald City wins the game. Players move through Oz on a board designed to look like the famous Oz map, with the Gillikin, Winky, Munchkin, and Quadling countries depicted. Along the way, players encounter friends and foes from throughout L. Frank Baum's first 13 Oz books, up through 1919's The Magic of Oz. That makes the board very visually interesting, but as I'm sure you've already noticed, there aren't any instructions on the spaces. No lose a turn or move forward 3 that modern players might expect in a roll and move game. Instead, each space is assigned a number, and a little bit of careful addition or subtraction will get each player from one location to another. You might expect the game to involve a die or a pair of dice, but instead, Parker Brothers had a different idea. It's time to introduce the cubes. We all grew up playing games that asked us to roll the dice, but The Wonderful Game of Oz suggests the far more prosaic throw the cubes. This is common terminology for the time, and essentially avoids the association of dice with gambling. We're not gambling, Ma. We're throwing cubes. Anyway, racing games of this kind have their origins in games of chance that were played for money. As you can see, instead of the traditional pips or Arabic numerals, these cubes have letters on them. W-I-Z-A-R-D, spelling out the word wizard. Every time you play a turn in The Wonderful Game of Oz, you throw all 6 cubes. To start off the game, as the rulebook says, he who spells out the most letters of the magic word wizard leads off. The next player to the left follows. After that, things get a little more complex. Every time you throw the cubes, you have to look and see how much of the word wizard you've managed to spell out, in the correct letter order. If you have a W, you move 1 space. If you have W and I, you move 2 spaces. W-I-Z is 3, W-I-Z-A is 4, and W-I-Z-A-R is 5. If you spell out the whole word in one go, W-I-Z-A-R-D, you move a breathtaking 25 spaces. This is true except after space 97, when there aren't 25 spaces left to go. If you throw W-I-Z-A-R-D after space 97, you get a free throw. When else do you get a free throw? Well, if you did what I did here and throw the cubes without revealing the W. You can throw them again, just once, before you have to pass to the next player. Additionally, if you throw 4 cubes of the same letter, say 4 Z's, you also receive a free throw. Be careful though, make sure to move any spaces you need to move first. Here, I'm going to move, take my free throw, and then move again. Gameplay continues in this manner throughout the rest of the board, but there are 1 or 2 more little complications. First, you'll notice that some of the board spaces have red numbers. If you land on a red number, you're in luck, because you get to move forward another 20 spaces. The rulebook makes a big deal that you move 20 spaces only, but there is actually an exception, and we'll discuss that in a minute. You can also see that certain numbers have big squares around them: 3, 43, 73, and 102. These are hazard spaces. If you land on any of them, move back 25. Or in the case of 3, go back to the start of the game. If you overtake another traveler, meaning if you land on the same space as another player, you each take different actions. You get to move forward 10 spaces, but the player who was overtaken must move back 10. This is true even if you overtake as a result of landing on a red number, meaning the red number sends you forward 20 spaces, you overtake someone else, and then move forward another 10. That's the exception I mentioned a minute ago. However, if the player being overtaken moves back 10, they land on a red number, nothing. Nada. If the player getting sent back lands on a third player, there's no overtaking. They just share a space. And that's the game. Remember, though, that to win you must land on the Emerald City exactly. After 121 spaces, how hard can it be? I hope you enjoyed playing the wonderful game of Oz. If you'd like to find some friends to play with, or to swap details of your collection, please remember to go to ozclub.org and join the International Wizard of Oz Club. A year's subscription will get you 3 issues of our feature-packed journal, The Baum Bugle, filled to the brim with scholarship, criticism, creativity, and fun. You'll also receive exclusive access to a variety of digital content and our special online social events, including holiday parties, collector show and tells, and even Oz gaming nights. See you on the road to Oz!